Her father, a Hollywood action legend. Her mother, a supermodel who defined an era. When Arissa LeBrock showed up at the WWE Performance Center, her destiny seemed set, a can't-miss prospect with a golden ticket. But when she disappeared from the wrestling world, the internet wrote its own story. She couldn't handle the pressure. A failed prospect, a silent disaster. But that story isn't what it seems. What was labeled a disaster was really a case of brutal timing and bad luck. Hidden from the public, a period of intense struggle didn't just alter her WWE dream. It almost ended her career before it ever began. This is the real story of what happened behind the curtain, and the incredible comeback that no one saw coming. To understand where Arissa LeBrock is going, you have to understand where she comes from. She was born into a world of flashbulbs and film sets, the daughter of two titans of the late 20th century. Her father is Steven Seagal, a name synonymous with a specific brand of bone-snapping action hero. Seagal wasn't just an actor, he was a legitimate 7th Dan black belt in Aikido, and he brought that martial arts authenticity to the screen. His legacy was one of legitimate, fearsome martial prowess. That name, Seagal, casts a colossal shadow. Her mother is Kelly LeBrock, an icon from a different but equally powerful universe. She was the star of films like The Woman in Red and Weird Science, but she became a global phenomenon as the face of Pantene, famously telling the world, "Don't hate me because I'm beautiful." She was the embodiment of 80s glamour, beauty, and confidence. Being the child of both means being born with two immense expectations: the expectation of physical dominance and the expectation of captivating beauty. The world assumes your path is already paved, leading to either a movie set or a fashion runway. For a while, Arissa walked the path that seemed most obvious. She stepped into modeling and even appeared on the reality show Growing Up Supermodel, which focused on the struggle of children trying to emerge from their famous parents' shadows. But even then, another side of her was quietly developing. While her father was a master of Aikido, Arissa was drawn to a different, more modern form of combat, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. This wasn't a casual hobby, it was a passion. BJJ is often called human chess, a grueling, submission-based martial art. By dedicating herself to BJJ, Arissa was proving she had her own discipline, her own fight, and her own identity. She was building a foundation of legitimacy, one painful training session at a time. This foundation, this grit forged on the mats, would become her most important weapon when she decided to trade her world for the brutal world of professional wrestling. In December 2019, the call came. World Wrestling Entertainment invited Arissa LeBrock to a tryout at their state-of-the-art performance center in Orlando, Florida. At the time, WWE's women's division was in the full swing of its evolution. Athletes like Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair had main-evented WrestleMania for the first time ever earlier that year. The bar for female performers had never been higher. The WWE tryout is a legendary crucible, designed to test an athlete's physical limits, mental fortitude, and charisma. It's a mix of grueling conditioning drills, in-ring tests, and promo classes. For Arissa, it was all of that and more. She walked in with a spotlight no one else had. Every drill she ran was scrutinized through the lens of her lineage. She wasn't just another athlete. She was Steven Seagal's daughter. She went through the tryout, a physically and mentally exhausting experience. And then, silence. Arissa LeBrock disappeared from the wrestling radar. There was no contract announcement, no press release. She simply vanished. In the information vacuum, the internet filled the void with stories. A narrative began to form across forums and social media that she had failed, that the pressure was too much and she couldn't hack it. Then, a second, quieter rumor circulated. This one didn't speak of a failure of will, but a failure of the body. It whispered of a serious injury sustained during the tryout, something Arissa later confirmed happened shortly after her tryout. This suggested her dream wasn't ended by a lack of talent, but was stolen by a moment of misfortune. For years, the wrestling world only knew that the can't-miss prospect had, in fact, missed. The period that followed her WWE tryout was one of profound struggle. Whether it was the physical pain of a debilitating injury, the psychological sting of the failure narrative, or both, Arissa found herself in what she would later call one of the darkest places in her life. The dream she had chased had evaporated. It's a crossroads where many would choose to turn back, but her foundation in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu had taught her resilience, and in this moment of darkness, a lifeline appeared. It came in the form of a phone call from a man who knows more than almost anyone about thriving in the shadow of a legendary father, Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes is wrestling royalty. As the son of the iconic American Dream Dusty Rhodes, he spent his career navigating the pressures of his own legacy. Instead of being a copy of his father, he created one of the most compelling characters in wrestling history, Goldust. He proved that the key to honoring a legacy is to build something entirely new alongside it. Dustin didn't run a polished corporate facility like the WWE Performance Center. He ran the Rhodes Wrestling Academy, an old-school, gritty, no-frills school of hard knocks. For Arissa, this was exactly what she needed. It wasn't about celebrity, it was about craft. It was a chance to rebuild herself, not as a prospect or a celebrity's daughter, but as a professional wrestler. The training was grueling and humbling. It was learning how to fall before you could learn how to fly. It was hours of running the ropes until your body ached, learning the footwork, timing, and psychology that separates a martial artist from a sports entertainer. Dustin, as a mentor, was relentless. He pushed her, broke her down, and then built her back up, stronger and smarter. He helped her integrate her BJJ skills into a pro wrestling context, translating her knowledge of submissions into a compelling in-ring style. Far from the spotlight, Arissa LeBrock was being reforged in the fire. After months of grinding at the Rhodes Wrestling Academy, the time for training in the shadows was over. The moment of truth arrived, not under the bright lights of a WWE arena, but in the humble setting of a Rhodes Wrestling Academy showcase in March 2023. The crowd was small and the atmosphere was raw. There were no pyrotechnics or giant video screens. There was only a ring and a woman ready to prove who she had become. When Arissa LeBrock stepped through the ropes for her first public match, the transformation was clear. This was not a model playing wrestler. This was a fighter. Her in-ring style was a revelation, a powerful, deliberate, and punishing display. She masterfully blended her high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with the hard-hitting fundamentals taught by Dustin Rhodes. Her takedowns looked like legitimate martial arts throws. When she took her opponent to the mat, she was in her element, transitioning smoothly between positions and applying submission holds with a terrifying legitimacy. It was clear this was no act. In that small venue, she answered the questions that had lingered for years. She wasn't a failure. She was a wrestler. That single performance shattered the false narrative of her disastrous tryout. The reality was a formidable athlete who had simply taken the hard road to get here. It was a debut built on pure grit and sacrifice. In that moment, she finally did what she set out to do. She transformed herself from Steven Seagal's daughter into Arissa LeBrock, the professional wrestler. The ultimate validation came from her mentor, Dustin Rhodes, who publicly praised her progress and potential, stating, "She's doing a great job, but this is only the beginning for her. Pretty soon, the whole world's going to be talking about Arissa LeBrock." Today, Arissa LeBrock stands as an interesting prospect in the professional wrestling landscape. She has done the work, paid her dues in silence, and emerged with a unique look, a legitimate combat sports background, and a story of resilience that is authentically her own. She has proven her commitment to the craft. While not yet a top-tier free agent according to major reports, the wrestling world is now aware of her potential. You see fans' online fantasy booking her arrival on a national stage. Scenarios imagine her making a debut in WWE, not as a rookie, but as a credible threat. Others see her appearing in All Elite Wrestling, perhaps standing with her mentor, Dustin Rhodes. These fan theories speak to the potential that people now see in her. They are a testament to how completely she has flipped the script, turning a narrative of failure into one of promise. She is no longer just a question mark. Her journey isn't one of failure, but of resilience. It is a story of overcoming perception, battling through darkness, and choosing the hardest path to achieve a dream. She is a wrestler who has forged her own identity through pain and perseverance, proving that a legacy is not just something you inherit, but something you build with your own two hands. And now, having paid her dues and honed her craft, that leaves us with one final, tantalizing question. She overcame the silence. She survived the grind. She has forged her own name in sweat and sacrifice. Where does she go next? So what do you think now that you know the real story? What is your fantasy booking for Arissa LeBrock? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you're enjoying this story, do us a favor and hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that wrestling history almost forgot.